When you look at the gaming world, there are literally tons of indie games out there, but every once in a while an indie game comes out and becomes extremely popular. Whether that popularity be society in general or just a part of the gaming community. After all, Minecraft was originally an indie game. Today we're going to talk about an indie game that got extremely popular on PC way before it started being ported to consoles. Dubbed the RPG where no one has to die, here is my review of Undertale for the Nintendo Switch. In the world of Undertale, humans and monsters were once at war on the surface, monsters eventually losing and becoming trapped underground. You play as a young human child who falls into the underground, the world of monsters, and embarks on a journey to return home. Overall, Undertale has a really charming and entertaining story. There's a ton of great comedy, especially in the second chapter and onward, and pretty much all of the main characters have a nice little emotional arc that really gets you attached to those characters. Now when it comes to gameplay, Undertale is a turn-based RPG with a lot of emphasis on choice, especially when it comes to the combat system. Basic progression is admittedly pretty linear. You're constantly moving forward in the current level or map you're in. You can go back to previous locations and there's a little variance in paths that you can go on, but honestly, it stays pretty linear from start to finish. As you play through the game and go through each area, the story leads you through puzzle-filled rooms with the goal of reaching the next boss fight and the next bit of story. The puzzles themselves are pretty simple and introduced to you as you go along, like creating simple bridges to go across water or flipping switches to open doors. The real depth of the game happens when you get into combat. As I said earlier, and as the box art from Fangamer says, this is the RPG where no one has to die. The combat system of Undertale is very heavy on choice. You've got a bunch of different options in battle, you can fight them like you would in any other RPG, but you've also got unique actions and mercy features for each different enemy type, including bosses, to be able to eventually calm them down and pacify them. Anybody who's played Metal Gear Solid 3 or Portable Ops knows what I'm talking about. There's a way you can kill every enemy and boss, but there's also a way of showing mercy and not killing them. This system is pretty in-depth and it goes beyond just pacifying everything. You can also kill and make all of the different mobs in the game go completely extinct. If you wander around certain areas and fight a certain random encounter so many times, that mob will no longer appear in the game. This also allows you to do a lot of different things with the story going a different direction depending on how you play the game, be it playing it normally, going for the genocide ending where you pretty much kill everything, or the pacifist ending where you pacify everything. But that's not the end of the combat system. Something else that really needs to be said is how you dodge enemy attacks. Instead of solely relying on defense and evasion stats, you actually go into a little bullet hell mini game with a little heart in a box with projectiles going towards you every time an enemy attacks you. This is a pretty unique system, as with enough skill you can pretty much dodge any attack, but at the same time many of the attacks are very chaotic and if you're not used to bullet hell games can be extremely frustrating. But these systems do make Undertale an extremely unique RPG experience that you pretty much won't get anywhere else, at least not in any other RPGs I've played. It also helps for a broader audience that it's pretty casual and not a huge time sink. My last run through the game was for the pacifist ending and I completed it in about 5 to 6 hours. Granted, that is pretty short compared to how long you'll be spending if you do the genocide ending. It's still not bad for the $15 price tag, especially if you want to go for all endings, which will probably take you closer to 20 hours. Next, let's dive into presentation. Both from a visual and audio music perspective, Undertale is designed to mimic NES games. Granted, it has more complex effects and music tracks than you'd ever see on the NES. It definitely has that look, and just like the story, a lot of the music tracks are really catchy and have a lot of charisma to them. I don't really have anything to complain about regarding performance, so now let's go into battery life. On the original model, Undertale has a battery range of 5 hours and 58 minutes up to 8 hours and 32 minutes. On the Nintendo Switch Lite, it has a range of 6 hours and 2 minutes up to 8 hours and 38 minutes. And on the V2 or Redbox 2019 model, it has a range of 7 hours and 54 minutes up to 11 hours and 35 minutes. In conclusion, Undertale is an extremely unique game that has been on handhelds before, but is a welcome addition to the Nintendo Switch library. While people not used to bullet hell games will definitely have some issues and frustration with the game's dodge mechanic, it is otherwise a beautiful little RPG that at times doesn't even feel like an RPG. Reviews to go rates Undertale for the Nintendo Switch a 9.5 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.